Hi friends, Mindy here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a Bible journaling entry in my Psalter and focusing on Psalm 34:1. I had recently done a word study on the word bless, and so I wanted to have an entry in my Bible as well, and I'm really enjoying working in this Psalter. It's just a really good size. And so Psalm 34:1 says, I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. And it's just something that I wanted to really focus on. And so I'm going to do a Bible journaling page here as well. So I'm starting off with this beautiful stamp. This is the Flower Burst background stamp. This is from the new release from Creative Worship Stamps. I will have my affiliate link down in the description if you're interested in checking out the whole new release. It's a beautiful release. There's so many beautiful stamps and stencils this month. So and I stamped that in Versamark ink, which is just a clear sticky ink. And I am spreading over the top of this a mixture of embossing glazes from Tim Holtz. So whenever I have a project that if I'm mixing colors or whatever, I think I've done that on a Facebook Live actually, I save those colors that get mixed together and I save them in this little bag. And in this particular bag, I have like yellows and greens, and there's actually some little flecks of red. So I'm just trying to kind of usher in all the fall vibes that I can, even though it's like still 90 degrees here. But I really just wanted a fall feeling and also something that was striking, but not like overwhelming, because it's a pretty busy stamp. So you can do a lot with this in terms of making it like the focal part of your page or making it just into a background. And so I tried to keep the colors just subtle. And you'll see here, I did not stamp all the way to the top of my page. I thought I was off the page, but I wasn't. So I'm gonna have to fix that. And then obviously there's that section down there along the bottom where I need to continue this stamp. And so I'm just going to re-ink my my stamp, and I'm actually using the platform from my stamp positioner tool for this because this is a big 6x6 stamp, and so I just find this really easy to use this way. And so I'm going to just kind of get over the top of it up here and just line it up as best I can. It's not going to be perfect, but that's okay. Up here at the top, it's just such a bit that I don't think you really notice it, but you'll notice it a little bit more down at the bottom, which I think actually had more to do with the fact that I was pushing the, as I was kind of wiping the excess off with that paintbrush, I think I made that line too definite, and which is fine. I'll end up being able to cover up most of it. So I'm just going to re-ink this now and stamp it again down here at the bottom. And you'll see what I mean when I put this embossing glaze on here, that it just kind of leaves more of a definitive line. And you could certainly spend time, going in and cleaning it up, but it will be fine. And obviously you could use, just one color or whatever, but I really like the mix of things. I'm going to heat set this, and I'm going to try and show you, but I don't really think you can really see the colors because while they don't really mix, they're, the particles are obviously really small, and so it's just speckled in a really fun way. And I really like the way that it looks when you do it this way, but it's kind of hard to capture the different colors on camera. So I don't think you can really tell, but just trust me, it's in there, and I like that look. So the next stamp that I pulled out is another from the new release here, which is Vintage Floral Collection. And so I pulled out the butterfly and this little cluster of flowers, and I'm just rubbing this on my hand since this is a brand new stamp, and I'm sorry for the glare from my light there. I'm using VersaFine Black Onyx ink here, so I have a really nice bold stamp. And then I am embossing this with clear embossing powder. And I really like doing this because it really intensifies the black, but also it's going to really help me when I'm trying to watercolor and in this image. And so I just spread the clear embossing powder over the top. I'm going to brush off the excess. And then while I have those stamps in my stamp positioner tool and I have this big sheet of mixed media paper, I'm going to go ahead and just stamp it again. And then I will have this for a future project. It's kind of a way to cut down your time when you're wanting to create, is by sort of mass making things ahead of time and just keeping them in your stash. And I will actually cut these out and put them in my little package with the stamps, and then I will have them when I'm ready to go. It's just a little tip that I have found to be helpful. So I'm heating this with my heat tool, and you can kind of see it just really, I think, makes it look very vibrant. And then this particular stamp set has a set of dies that you can get with it as well. And so I'm going to use those to cut out my pieces, and I am just seeing how I want them to be laid out. I think this is going to be the layout, but first I want to add some color. So I'm pulling out my Tim Holtz watercolor pencils, and I'm just starting off with some random colors. I think this first one I want to say is Wild Honey, and I'm using just a water brush, and I'm pulling straight from the tip of this, especially because it's hard to get some of those in those little finer areas on the butterfly and especially on the flowers. And I like that I went ahead and just did like a wash of water over the top of this, and then I'm pulling the pigment from the colored pencil and just kind of dropping it down in there. And I'm going to pull another, I think this was Aged Mahogany, and do this in some different areas as well. And because it's all still wet and my paintbrush, or with my water brush obviously has water in it, it's just going to help mix all of these colors. And then I just scribble this off on the paper that I'm working on, and then come back in with some other colors just until I get the look that I'm wanting. I probably will pull in a couple of other colors as well, like a brighter color. And I'm going to set that off to the side to dry. And then I'm going to pull in a green. I think this one was peeled paint. Sorry, I don't have them right in front of me. I don't remember as what I was using as I created them, but just going through the greens here for the greenery and the leaves. And then I'm actually going to put just a little bit into the center of the flowers as well. I think that just helps the overall look of it. And then I will pull in, I want to say this one's Forest Moss, just a darker green for some contrast. And so again, just doing that same process where I add a little bit of water first and then kind of drop the pigment in, and I'm doing it straight from the colored pencils. This is why I love the colored pencils. I like the crayons for the same reason. It's just very versatile. You could certainly color it in and then do that, or color onto an acrylic block and pull the pigment that way. There's a lot of ways that you can actually use. There's even people who will shave the pencils and create a little watercolor palette. So a lot of versatility with these little pencils. And so I'm just going in now into the flowers, and I have a couple of different reds here. I'm trying to remember. One of them I'm sure is Aged Mahogany, and Fired Brick maybe. The other one I can't remember, but I'm just going in, and I started with the lighter color, and then I'm going in and adding the darks over the top and blending them together. And because these have that clear embossing powder over the inked edge, it kind of helps when you have really fine details like this, that you're able to just really kind of drop the color in, and it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to go outside the lines. And so this just is something that helps me, because I'm not a professional watercolorist at all. I'm barely a novice when it comes to watercolor, but it's just a little trick that I've learned that kind of just helps, just kind of keeps everything contained and makes it a little bit easier. So I wanted to have some variety in the colors of my flowers. And so I came in with now some other oranges, Wild Honey. I can't remember even what this color is, so I apologize. I should have written down the names of all of the colors that I used, but and then just going in and doing that same process where I start off with a lighter color and then pull in a darker, I think that actually might be Rusty Hinge there. And then I'm going to pull in some of that Aged Mahogany as well to kind of, make this, it's obviously the same plant, so I want it to make it look like it's all part of the same plant, but I want them each to just be a little bit individual, because that's how things are in nature. So just going in and fiddling with this. I will do this for all of the petals, and I will do it with slightly different colors for each flower. I'm not going to make you watch me do that whole process, but that is the process that I went through. So here's what it looks like when it's finished. Some of the differences are kind of subtle, but I in the end really like how this looked, because especially, like I said, I was trying to pull in some fall feels, so that's what I did. And then I wanted to have the purpose for this page was focusing on this word and this word study that I did. So I want to stamp out the word bless, but I didn't have a stamp that said bless, and I wanted just a little tiny one. So there's a stamp set this month called Typed Thoughts stamp, and there's actually dies for that as well, but the actual stamp says be blessed. So what I did is I just inked up only the part that said bless, and then I cut it out. And so, when you have sentiments or whatever, you can sometimes alter them to meet your needs. So don't be afraid to do that. So now I'm coming back in and just highlighting using that same watercolor pencil, the Psalm 34:1. And then I'm actually going to go around the edge of this with that same color. Again, just to kind of pull it in so it's not the only thing that's just stark white on this page. And so I'm just creating a little bit of a border there and getting everything layered the way that I want, and then I'm going to glue this down. So I'm using art glitter glue here, and I'm only applying glue to the little body section of the butterfly so that it has a little bit of lift and just dimension. And I am adding a good bit of glue here though, simply because I'm working over the embossing glaze. I want to make sure that this doesn't go anywhere. But art glitter glue dries pretty quickly, so I'm able to just hold this down just for a few seconds and it will be good. But I like how it has that kind of lift up off the page when you do it that way. So and then I'm going to glue the word bless next. That way it just kind of I can cradle the flower around the word the way that I want, and you can still see, you know, the line where I met those two stampings, but I think it works okay. Your eye kind of loses it as, you know, having all of the other pieces glued down. So, and that's basically it for me. So if you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. All my links, including my website, Facebook group, and affiliate links are down in the description. And until next time, bye.